And I find people with that struggle with very busy minds, it's usually the trauma imprints that are in the body and the nervous system that are the cause of the busyness of the mind. And this can be helpful to know for awakening, because if you feel like you're trying different practices, whether it's meditation or other spiritual practices, and you're trying to calm the mind, you're trying to work on that specifically, and you're finding you're not really making much progress, the reason could be is because the trauma imprints in the body are not allowing you to make any progress with that. They are putting your nervous system into a fight flight response, and it's like you're wired, basically. You're feeling hypervigilant, you're feeling like there's danger around, or you're feeling like something's wrong, you're feeling dread, because the nervous system is in the fight flight response because of the underlying trauma that's in the system. And so, of course, that's going to create a mind that is worrying, that is over analyzing, that's thinking things through too many times. It only makes sense. So it's all joined together. The system's all joined together: the body, the nervous system, the emotional system, the mind. We can't separate them. So if we have too much content in the body and nervous system, it's not going to allow any sort of spiritual practice to really work to any degree because of that. You could think of the body and the nervous system as noisy, and so that makes the mind noisy. And so this is helpful to know if this is relevant for you, because the best approach then to help to get a quieter mind is to go to the core of it, which is to get help with the underlying trauma. And this could very much be outside of awakening and outside of spirituality, more along the lines of a trauma therapist or something like that, getting help with regulation of the nervous system and getting those imprints removed from the body. And the flow-on effect of that is that the mind starts to become healthier in regards to what it's saying. The conditioning itself changes from being about self-hatred or about judging others or just being highly critical or hateful or hurtful or whatever, to being more kind and more loving and more compassionate to yourself and to others. And also the intensity of it, the volume of it starts to get turned down, and things get quieter and more still. And that then allows you to start to access your being and to do meditation practices where you can really access your true nature. It is, I would say, almost impossible to do with a very busy mind caused by too much trauma and a dysregulated nervous system, because that will constantly block your ability to make any progress with awakening. So the good news is there is a way forward, and that is to get some healing work done first on the trauma. And then you will see the results, because the mind will not only become a nicer place to be, a more kind and loving place, the way that it's talking to itself, but it will start to really calm down. You'll feel less anxious. There'll be less worrying thoughts. There'll be less trying to overanalyze or plan ahead or what is it that I'm going to say. All of that can very much be a trauma response, which is really just, it doesn't even have to be triggered by our environment, although it may be. It can just be that it's just in the system and it's just constantly getting activated. And if we have a lot in there, of course the mind's going to be busy. It totally makes sense. And so the way forward is to come at it from the root and to heal that underlying trauma. And then the mind is going to slow down on its own. And then when we notice that this is happening and we're actually getting some space in there, we're noticing it's actually feeling a bit more relaxed. So even just we start making a little bit of progress, then we know we can start to start a meditation practice. That's a good time to start a spiritual practice, because now we're actually going to see progress with it. So, and then if we do both, if we keep working on the healing work and we do our spiritual practice as well, those two things will work really beautifully together. So if this resonates with you and you have a very busy mind, my suggestion would be to go and get some help with that underlying trauma. I always recommend somatic experiencing. That's what I used. I can't help with anything to do with the trauma realm other than to give you advice on where to go. I'm not a therapist and I'm not a psychologist or anything like that. I'm just talking about my own experience of coming through the trauma path to awakening. And I just hope that helps you to understand why your mind is so busy and know that there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with the way that you're doing practices. You're probably technically doing them correctly. It's just no amount of work in that realm will work for you if you have a very dysregulated nervous system and a lot of those trauma imprints in the body that are just really making the mind just really overactive.